We did a book called From There to Here when we did Peninsula Europe because people wanted to figure out how we got there. And we did get there by making a choice in 1970 to do no work that didn't impact valuably and usefully to the ecosystem or compensate for its absence. If you look at a place and you ask yourself the question, how big is here? The here of it can be a subcontinent like Peninsula Europe. The here of it can be a rooftop which has a meadow on it, where the here is, by inference, the meadow mosaic of Europe. Or the here of it, it can be a street corner where we do an endangered garden. On Pico Boulevard, where it enters the Santa Monica Promenade, that's what we did when confronted with how big here was there. The Green Heart and the Ronstadt. The here was the lowlands.
And it was the heart. I would have called it the green lungs because it had the trees and the vegetation and absorbed a great deal of the poisons that any city or village puts out.
In this 800 square kilometer area, they were going to put in 700,000 houses, and it was going to wreck the center of Holland. The question we were posed was, could we make a boundary for the Green Heart, which had never been bounded before? And could we, by inference, redirect a $150 billion economic engine? You can do it with an icon, and you can do it with 7 texts, which propose, in essence, a boundary, a new park system wherein cities are maintained their identity, and another place to put 600,000 houses, which they didn't think existed, and we pointed out did. Helen and I, we both do this because it's a life work as artists. We believe that the core of art is in storytelling. Our subject matter is is what we would call the cultural landscape and all in it that we may engage at any moment.
Every place is busy telling you the story of its own becoming. And we listen for the story of place and learn from it and try and join it.
The conversation that forms the cultural landscape is generated by the dominant culture of a place looking for its advantage. Well, that may disadvantage a whole lot of other things. So often we take the position of the disadvantaged and set out to guide the conversation in another direction.
Into balance, into a different way maybe, perhaps of viewing.
You know, when Yale Albers used to say all the time, don't do research, do search. The core of the work is about public service, and we consider ourselves artists who work in the public interest. We consider ourselves free agents or random moving parts in an environment.
And our client is never the organization that invites us, but is the landscape or the river itself.
Or the cultural
landscape
that we define by whatever boundary comes up. We're seduced in a way as artists by questions. What do you want to do with this whole place? Really, we're looking at emergent pattern. And when a pattern emerges, it starts to tell us what to pay attention to.
One of the things that we usually do when we try to locate a place is to locate the watershed and see just how large here is. How big is here?
How big is the water content? Are we just looking at the freshwater tongue? Or are we looking, for instance, at
saltwater intrusion way up to the beginnings of the rivers? What are we looking
But I want to say also that we're looking at maybe as big as the habitat of the fish are that use the estuary to lay young, and then they move back into the ocean, because the fresh and salt water issue is something we work with a lot in Sri Lanka and other places, and it's magical. What can somebody learn from us? I could tell you what I would like you to learn. I would like you to learn how to do what we do so there could be more of us. Go look us up at the greenmuseum.org.